And we're live.
We are live for episode, what are we, 174? Yes, 174 of Live at the Hive Digital Marketing from the Trenches. I'm Dan Adelko.
Matt Stefanich.
Jagulin.
With an upgraded fancy camera. Good
I'm
job.
loving
You
it.
can
It's
see my
nice.
face in
Yes.
mostly HD.
Well, when we first started, I think we were talking about your camera, and I don't think you had it going on the right camera
Yeah,
for
it was-
output at the beginning.
Just my laptop camera. It's like,
Yep.
your face.
This is very true. This is very true.
Yeah.
All good. Well, welcome everybody to episode 174. It's a beautiful, almost feeling summerish day here in
Gorgeous.
Southern Ontario. So looking forward to it, and also looking forward to one more snowstorm this year.
I hope not. I already got my
No.
tires off, so
It always happens every year.
yeah. But we have lots to talk about this week for sure, since last week was Easter weekend. So hope everyone enjoyed their long weekend last week.
Absolutely. And so today what we're talking about is the importance of customer loyalty. And I think one of the things that often is confused when we're talking about customer loyalty is people just say, well, we've got a points program, we're good to go. We've got a referral program, we're good to go. And I think it's important to understand that one of the it's bigger than that. It's got to be philosophical throughout an organization, and it involves all manner of functions within the company to really look at customer loyalty and loyalty as something philosophical rather than something tactical that we just, hey, we got a platform.
Yeah.
We're good.
Absolutely. I feel like too, a lot of like small businesses, they also say that, like, when you ask them, okay, what's your main referral strategy? A lot of them just say, oh, word of mouth, right? And while word of mouth can be really great, at times it doesn't really give you that solid experience that a lot of companies have in place for, loyalties and customer relations. So some good strategies for sure.
So I think one of the things too, and it's pretty interesting because we're talking about one, well, not entirely local, but one somewhat local to us. I believe they're also in Toronto. Isn't that right, Chad?
I think it's Quebec.
Oh, it's Quebec. Okay.
Yeah.
So one in Quebec and here in Waterloo called Chef on Call. And just a funny anecdote about that, when we were doing a production meeting about it, and we were talking about, building a brand advocate that's passionate about the business and what it is. And Chad just randomly started diving in about Chef on Call, how much he loved it, how great the food is, how amazing it is. He's really picky. It was awesome. They've got a great app that does points, and you earn coins, and you get badges and all sorts. And it literally just stopped and said, I mean, this is the thing we're talking about today.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So we're going to dive into that, and we're going to talk a lot about things like, what is a brand and what does that mean, which also think is often confused. But we'll dive into that. And I think we're going to jump into a few what's new this week. We got some happenings in the I want to say the marketing world, since everything is digital these days.
Yeah. So over the past week, there's been some great articles that turned up that give us great insights towards how the future of marketing, digital marketing experience specifically is going to be changing. And this article from Marketing Dive, it's titled "Nearly Half Executives Expect Social Marketing Budgets to Double in the Next 3 Years." And I think for a lot of marketers, this isn't really a huge surprise. We've seen people doubling down on their social media strategies throughout the pandemic, trying to get a hold of their clients, trying to reach their audiences, for example. And I think that, people have seen it work if they're doing it properly and with experience. And I think, people are starting to understand the ROI that you can really benefit from when you're using, social media and social media ads.
Yeah, well, I think social media marketing budgets will encompass paid advertising, and also content creation, right? That's it's going to be, and the recognition that social media is much more than a toy. It's changed the way that, this is something that I've always said about technology, is it becomes impactful when it changes the way that we as human beings behave, socialize, communicate. And it's a much bigger thing than just a Facebook or a TikTok, right? Because those platforms will be replaced. But the notion that we're going to have this, everybody's a media outlet, like that's happening, right? Everybody's a media influencers of all size. So I think one of the things is that, where businesses follow consumers, right? That's what always happens. So, traditional TV as traditional TV, I think is going to go the way of the dodo. And it'll be replaced by more on-demand style, like you're seeing with YouTube and YouTube Premium and those types of things. So as a business, right? So if these businesses are following into social media marketing and social media platforms, I think it behooves everybody, regardless of size, to become involved and take it more seriously. And I think, the last thing, and I'll just comment on that, is that these companies that have been treating social media as if it were just another traditional channel, we've got a couple of examples. There's newer companies that are coming that are going to supplant the old companies because they've done it a different way. And you've seen some rising stars happen, very similar to the way that when radio got supplanted by television, a lot of the stars on radio couldn't translate well into television, and it minted a whole world of new television stars at the time, including people like Bob Hope, for example. Right?
Absolutely.
And they were not big when TV started. So
Oh, for sure. And I think that really, Pippa put in a really great comment here. She says that she feels that the pandemic twisted the arm of a lot of companies to move to digital marketing and social platforms. And absolutely. I mean, people are forced to buy online now, especially within the next few weeks, right? So opens up to be a little bit more comfortable for making online purchases, for sure.
Transition to digital has been happening for years, but definitely has been massively accelerated in the last year.
Yep, for sure. And I think one for that kind of transitions into the next what's new, and we're talking about White Claw's brand and how they built it up through using social media and trending topics. I mean, Absolutely. White Claw's been around for years, right? But I think when it first came out, everyone was like, oh, it's kind of a fad. People are going to stop drinking it after a while, just like a few other drinks. But it's been growing and growing and growing. And it's like you can't even see like a video anymore without either an ad incorporating White Claw or like a promotion in a video, right?
Well, and one of the brilliant things that White Claw did, so now this is really good because the way that they're doing their advertising campaign, which is their first one, is to use user-generated content from the content creators that are already passionate brand advocates. Like, number one, your budget's got to be way more effective, right, than using traditional production studios, right? Because they charge an arm and a leg. The other part of this is YouTube content creators and technology have caught up the point to which, and you see this on TikTok all the time, is you see students in a dorm room with a DSLR, a basic setup, creating better commercials than you see coming out of professional studios, because that's technology. The technology is democratized content creation, right? 20 years ago, you couldn't do that. It was too expensive. The other really smart thing that White Claw has done is you cannot, so in like Calabasas and LA, where all the biggest YouTubers live, White Claw is part of their actual culture. Like when they go to parties, it's White Claw is all over everything. And if you see, I don't know, Jake Paul having a party at his house, everyone's carrying White Claws around. I mean, that's millions and millions and millions of views of influence.
It's billions, actually. So here the article talks about fans posting about White Claw has generated more than 4 billion impressions for the brand in recent years per the release. The company also claims it's generated 46 more social media mentions than their competitors. It's insane.
And it says it contributed over $1 billion in growth to the hard seltzer category last year. So, when if you ever hear people saying, social doesn't sell, social sells a whole lot. These influencers on whether they're YouTube or TikTok can literally just breathe a word and say, yes, go buy this. And their fan bases are so loyal to them that they will go and do it. Now, I think the question is how do we as businesses that have different scales and different levels get to that level of having my tribe, right?
Yeah.
So look, Logan Paul has his tribe, and well, David Dobrik, maybe not anymore. I don't know. But these big influencers, everybody has their tribes that they're able to. Joe Rogan's got a tribe. He can, right?
Yep.
People that follow him, and they're passionate about his podcast. So as businesses, we want to replicate that, and just the same way that Chad is in the tribe of Chef on Call. And as soon as I get my first order, I hope to be as well.
For sure.
Yeah, so let's keep it going here. Else.
Cool. Yeah, we're gonna cut it off at the next one. This one's pretty important. The title's a lot scarier than it sounds, but I promise you, it's not. Facebook's analytics is going away. They recently announced this, that Facebook analytics will no longer be available after June 30th of this year. And until then, you can still download all your reports and charts and things like that. However, you can still utilize Facebook Business Suite, Ads Manager, and Events Manager to get your insights about your posts and everything. Just sounds like it's going to be more consolidated into this one platform than different types, right?
Yeah, they haven't really announced what's replacing the Facebook Analytics interface. It's TBD. If you use Facebook for Business, you know how quickly they make changes, how changes are sometimes they're not very well tested.
Yeah,
that's just the reality. Lots of bugs and issues that happen. And I'm sure that Facebook Analytics will be there in some form or another. That's just TBD, but good to know. Mark it on your calendar.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's still important if you're using like a third party for any analytics or anything like that. I'm not sure if that's going to be, affected by this new change. It shouldn't. I don't think so, but definitely something to go for.
All right, so let's dive in. I guess it's my screen today.
Yep. Yeah, Courtney just said here too that she's experienced this, and Courtney says the new Business Suite rollout has been quite the disaster, and I can only imagine. You know what it's like. Something changes, and everyone's trying to look for something, and they think it's missing. You know.
Yeah, the problem with Facebook Business Manager is there are several bugs that can be introduced, locking people out of accounts. And especially with the ad side of things, where mysterious billings happen that do come from Facebook. We spent many hours dealing with Facebook, and we have premium agency support. We have a concierge. That only goes so far. It's a bit of a monster to deal with.
Again, that leased land, right? The Wild West.
It's the rollout, and the rollout is continuous, right? Like changes continue to be made all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So let's dive in. I will share. Oops. Just do this. Share my screen, and we will get started. Nope. Yes.
Is that not letting you?
No, it's fine.
Oh, there you go.
It's just the number of clicks I have to do to get there. Oh. 174. We'll just skip that. All right. So brand loyalty. How do we do it? We're going to talk about some strategies. We're going to talk about some examples, and we're going to talk about some tips. And brand loyalty is a complicated question. I think the first and most important thing. So what we're going to run through here is just talking about what is a brand, talking about different ways to build that loyalty, and different tools and techniques and tips you can use to integrate all of the different facets of what customer and brand loyalty is and into your day-to-day plans. And like I said, even if you've got a modest budget, one example is if you're very small, right, you have the ability that larger brands may not have in such a personalized way, right? Handwriting a card to everybody that purchases from you, for example. So when they open it up, it's a little bit of a surprise delight, feels personalized, right? Yep. So again, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to introduce some platforms, but we are not going to get stuck in platform land. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that marketers and business owners do is they say, well, I got the platform. That's only part of that equation. So let's just dive right into the first question. And I don't want to move this slide because I think it's an important topic is what is a brand? Right? What does that mean? And if you're really interested on the branding side, I would suggest you follow Chris Do from The Future. It's The Future without an E at the end, Futur. He's a great content creator. He's got some great talks about, specifically, he's in the creative and design world, but agencies and how you perceive branding and everything else. He's very, very eloquent and he's got a lot of good knowledge bombs to drop.
For sure.
So, right. Yeah. So brand is often confused with my logo and my style sheet. And this is how I look. And this is what, these are my colors, my brand guideline colors. And this is it.
Yep.
And all of that is in fact wrong, because a brand is one thing and it's one thing alone. It is the way that your potential customers, the way that the world perceives you as a company, and that is your brand.
Yep.
You can influence it, right? But you don't control it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like a sail, right? It's like it's constantly blowing in the wind. It keeps on moving forward, but it's ultimately you who gets to kind of steer that sense of belonging, that relationship with your customers and audience, right?
For sure. So Chad, what are a few of the things with Chef on Call that make you passionate about it? Because I wish I was recording you yesterday.
Oh, well, really, fundamentally it's the product. Their food is really good, but what really won me was their app. They built this app, and it's built on kind of this idea of gamification, and it really encourages customer loyalty, because the more you order, they basically give you these every time you order you get coins, and then the more coins you get, it keeps bumping you up tiers, and then the higher your tier gets, the more coins you get per order. So I just thought that was a really cool feature, and I found them at the time when I was in school, actually, and working on designing apps and kind of looking at that. And we had just found this local company and ordered from there, because they're you don't have a lot of options when you're ordering really, really late night, and they deliver, I think it's till 4 o'clock in the morning or something crazy, super late. Yeah. And it's not like that crap, terrible, after the bar food that nobody should ever be eating. It's actually like gourmet kind of pub food. Is like gourmet burgers and chicken fingers and stuff like that, and really high quality ingredients, really, really well made, taste delicious.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of it was let's
not give it all away. But the one thing too that was really important about it is they're very responsive on social. They also sell merch. We're going to dive into that, but everyone talks about Apple. We all talk about Apple when you talk about brand. But we're going to look at a few others that are small, like Chef on Call is a small business, but building a great brand with a lot of hustle. There's another one called Stake.com. It's a new casino and sports book focused on cryptocurrencies. We're going to talk about them and how they've done it. And all of this is about engagement. Obviously, Apple finds its way into the conversation because of the rabid loyalty that Apple customers have. They
built it. Yeah.
They're very price insensitive. Apple will raise their prices, and it doesn't seem to move the needle on them negatively. The other one thing about Apple, and I won't dwell on it too much, but what Apple has managed to do, and this is very much Steve Jobs, it was and he envisioned this 20 years ago, right? In some of his keynotes was, I get an Apple Watch, I get an iPad, I get an Apple TV, I get a MacBook, right? I get all the Apple things because I am in that ecosystem and that's where I live. And, they've built in a massive company based on this. So brand is important, no matter your size, I think is the takeaway.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, some of the tactical parts of building customer loyalty. Who wants to run with this one? I feel like I'm talking.
I can start with this one, sure, and then we can kind of build out. I think that you definitely want to communicate your values, but in doing that, I think there's a deeper meaning of just being transparent with your audience and being real with them. I think nowadays people are a lot more aware of when organizations and businesses don't really appreciate their business, and it's more so like they're an order number. When you're doing these loyalty programs like handwritten letters, using point systems to really reward your customers with that, service, I feel that really builds loyalty, and it kind of shows your values off too, where you value your community, you value your customers, providing services for them, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you an example. It was on a client called yesterday. Yes, yesterday. And one of the things, it went 35 minutes over, so it was like an hour and 40 minutes. And one of the key points that I made about how we work is, we are there to challenge the team.
Yeah.
Right. And that's our job as marketers. We can't be order takers. So one of our values is we are here to challenge notions, to challenge preconceived ideas, to try new things with informed decisions. That's a core value that I think a lot of agencies, some really do have, and I think some others are just order taking businesses. So that's your values are a broad dynamic across the spectrum. I think the next one, and Chad, this I think I'll let you talk a little bit about this, but provide exceptional customer service and an excellent product, to your last point about Chef on Call.
Well, that's really what kind of what drives people to come back and use your services or do business with your company again, is by providing that excellent customer service. That's like the thing that they take away, and they will share that with their friends. If you just get a product from something and you like it, right on, you like it, and you kind of go on about your day. But if they kind of go above and beyond that, and they provide that excellent customer service, it adds like this context to the whole interaction that it gets into that surprise and delight that we were talking about. And that's like, even with like for Chef on Call, like one of the things that they do is they always have an item on their menu where the proceeds go to a local charity. And it's just kind of providing to the community. It's being part of the community, and not just, like you were saying, not just being order takers. They're actually getting to part of the conversation, and they're part of the community that they're in, and they're kind of providing in different ways. And that really makes you stand out. Even with their gamification, they're constantly rewarding customers for doing business with them, and basically saying, thank you, here's a little bit back.
Well, there's a deeper understanding there. And one of the reasons we're talking a lot about Chef on Call today, and we'll also talk about steak.com, is that these are smaller businesses that get it, right? That understand that customer retention, if you look at it from a financial standpoint, you model customer retention, right? They're not going to be chasing down new leads, because Chad is getting like dozens of people to go and install their app. He's doing their marketing for them. Another famous example of Zappos is Zappos. Back in the day, before they got, they're still around. Don't get me wrong, but when they were founded by Tony Hsieh, they put their phone number front and center. They said, we want to talk to you, right? Don't call us if you need something. Like, actually call us, because we want to talk to you. And there's famous anecdotes of Zappos customer service reps. You could call them up and ask them what the best pizza, you're in a hotel, say, what's the best pizza in Atlanta, because I'm in Atlanta for 4 days on business. And that customer service rep would be like, okay, well, let me just have a look here. Let's go look at some. It had nothing to do with Zappos. Right. And so these are more examples of customer loyalty and clever customer service. Right.
For sure.
And here we go. I don't want to unleash Chad on activating your community to help spread the word again. We're going to run out of time there. I feel
I get a little excited about food. It's good stuff.
It's good. It is good to get excited. But we did just talk to this again. Your most ardent supporters are supporters of your brand, and they're going to spread the word, literally just like Chad has been doing. And showing your appreciation. That loyalty program and the pointing system that Chef on Call has, for example, encourages repurchases. And repurchases are the heart blood of any marketing and business. And the reality is if they decided to use paid advertising to incentivize their audience, right? The ROI of that and the lifetime value of every customer consistently increases, and the return on advertising spend increases. Like, everything increases by doing that. And that pointing system encourages those rebuys, understanding that I'm sure it's been modeled out that if you get to the top tier VIP level, you deserve those points back. You're far more profitable to Chef on Call at that tier because you're ordering consistently.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're ordering consistently, I mean, you're probably, a loyal follower of that business and an advocate, right? And we keep talking about, customers becoming advocates too. And I think, Chad on on here's a bit of an example of that, but it's the reality, right?
Yeah, it's a true story, really. And that's the thing, like a new customer acquisition is a lot harder to achieve and quite a bit more expensive than having those customers coming back and being advocates for your brand. And then then it turns into word of mouth, and word of mouth is really, it's gold if you can get that ball rolling, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. I think this one's another important part of customer loyalty, is asking for honest feedback, not perfect feedback. And being brave enough to have, maybe, if something was wrong and it was critical, whether it was slow shipping or maybe it was a bad order or these things, they happen, right? And that honest feedback is the important part, and integrating that honest feedback into every touch point of your customer journey. So for example, there's a great platform called Ask Nicely. Brilliant name.
Yeah.
Whoever did that. Hold on. Let me just get out of here. I'll just do this. So it's a customer experience platform. And the beauty of this is, for service professionals that are in the field, they have a mobile app that lets the service people create NPS scores directly at the point when a service has been completed, right? So if I called a plumber because I had a burst pipe like I had last weekend, and someone came in to fix it and they fixed it, and I said, hey, would you mind? How did that experience work for you? Then you're going to be able to garner a lot of that honest feedback. And if you have negative reviews and you address them and you solve the problem, quite typically your biggest detractors will become your biggest advocates, because if they're taking the time out to, voice their concerns and their problems that they've had, and you solve that problem, and then you build a relationship with them, those people typically all do the same thing on the other side of that coin. Right. The most dangerous ones are the silent ones that you never know about. Right. That's the most that's the most dangerous.
True. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me just get back here. And there we go. And lastly, I think it's never become complacent about customer experience, whether it's processes, follow-ups. One of the things that we work really hard to do at Honeypot is to adapt, to change, to improve the process. We just opened up a service desk, for example, to help organize customer client requests. So yeah, it's an evolving, never-ending part of the process that should be baked into your organization at all levels. Philosophically.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So who wants to? Yeah. So now we've got some tips and some tricks, and I've got a couple of anecdotes. And wow, this is the best clip art I've ever seen. Wow.
So you like the community clip art?
Yeah.
At least it's community. At least
it's community. If it wasn't community, I would probably question that a little bit more. But
don't forget that you can always use the Vince Vaughn stock photos where Vince Vaughn and I think was it Owen Wilson? I can't remember which one of the Wilson brothers it was.
Back in 2000, they did a series of films together, so I wouldn't be surprised there's a bunch. But anyhow, building relationships with Blast. We've kind of touched upon this already, so with this slide we can kind of move on. But utilizing personalized touches of thanking people for their business, reaching out to them, updates, things like that. That goes beyond the technical side of referrals, help desks, and things like that. These are real things you can start implementing today, and oftentimes they can be more effective than diving into some of these platforms head first, right?
For sure. I'm going to give you some examples, and then I'm going to give you a bit of an anecdote about long ago in my past now, pushing 30 years.
You're aging yourself. Don't do that.
I'm okay. I'm an old guy. It's okay. pushing
Prime.
fitty, pushing fitty.
Still got a few years. Anyway.
Oh, geez.
A few years.
I got a few years left under your belt.
Well, yeah.
That's good. All right. So Field Notes is one of the best examples of how to build a brand based on unique personalization. And, they make little tiny notebooks. That's what they do. In 3-packs or start a subscription. But they do limited editions and dispatches for very passionate communities. For example, character and game master journals for Dungeons and Dragons.
Perfect. Love that. You have my attention.
So these guys, and where they started were finely crafted notebooks, evoked from the the 40s and the 50s of kind of being out in the field, maybe even the 20s, I guess.
Yep.
I'm not sure what that style. It feels a little Art Deco, but I don't know enough about it.
It's an aesthetic.
Yeah, it's definitely got its unique aesthetic. But where they change, they have astronomy editions, they have all sorts of cool stuff. And when you do the subscriptions, now I had bought at one point a whole bunch of these. There's there's one for the home, so you got like the gardening book, you've got woodworking projects and all that stuff.
Yep.
But they do surprise and delight better. Well, not better than anyone, but really, really well. Let's just say that. And I believe it was my 4th order that I had placed with them. They threw in a wall calendar with a handwritten note that says, "Thanks so much for your 4th order. Here's a special surprise for you."
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Very simple.
That's the sort of stuff you tell your friends.
Yeah. And I told everybody, I continue to tell that story, and that was years ago that happened, right? And again, they're a bit cheeky here, and their surprises are only surprises if we don't tell you about them. So sometimes, because sometimes, people, companies will say, every 10th coffee, you get a free coffee, right? Okay. I mean, that's good, but this is better.
Yeah.
This is better.
For sure. You don't anticipate it. It's a surprise, like you said. And I mean, the handwritten letter as well. And I mean, they even probably went into your order history to see what you would really benefit from as well, right? And I mean, if you have the bandwidth to do that, if it's a larger scale, might be a bit more difficult, but even, it's really, really, really good customer relations in that respect. Yeah,
absolutely. And my little anecdote, and that there is no way we're getting through every single slide in this presentation. Just for the record. But that's okay, because you know what? Like, one of the things we are going to talk about our friends at Smile, because they're also local to us, Bird Eye and Referral Candy. But these are the platforms. We don't need to shill the platforms. They're all great platforms. We're talking about bigger level things here, but Smile.io will implement a points program for Shopify, Shopify Plus, Wix, and BigCommerce, I believe. Bird Eye is a review and local management platform for you to solicit reviews from several different sources. Referral Candy is obviously a customer referral platform that will help you manage that. So we'll kind of leave those there. You can Google them. We can drop some links in the chat for you. They're the tools that you can use to implement the things we're talking about. And I think the bigger picture is really what we're talking about here. How it gets implemented is with some of these platforms.
Nice.
Right. So I'm going to tell a quick anecdote. I keep clicking on the StreamYard screen to change the slide. And I don't really need that one right now. So I'm going to just go like this. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
My face is big now. Ooh. 1080p.
You gotta love that 1080p.
Not kind to my complexion. All right. So this is back in the day. Japan camera. I owned a Japan camera when I was I think I was 19 or 20. I can't remember the exact year. And we did 1 hour photo finishing, and really dating myself. But back in the day, you used to take film into a 1 hour lab and you'd process it. Would cost $21.99. That's what we charged. Our cost was like 64 cents. So it was very profitable. And then Wilco and Walmart wasn't even in Canada yet. And I believe Zellers started offering 1 hour photo finishing for $7.99. And it terrified everybody in our industry that was independent, because what were we going to do, right? Like, we can't compete on that price, and we don't want to. So one of the things I did was just research how you beat these big box stores if you're independent. And one of the big strategies that some companies have been very successful against Walmart was being what's called a category killer. So I have that category. You go shallow and wide. I'm going narrow and deep. I'm going to do everything that is in my industry. And one of the things that's important to note is that, if you lost a roll of film back in the day, it was gone, right? The memory is gone. You can't get it back. So quality was super important. So we focused on quality. And then what we did was, me and a friend of mine built a rapid 8x10 enlargement processor for prints. You used to have to send them away. So dating myself, but it's a good anecdote. You would send them away to get them done. And so 8x10s would take 7 days, right? That takes forever. So we were able to do it in like minutes, right?
Yep.
So what we would do, and I would tell the printers, and I did a lot of the printing myself, was when you're printing this roll of film, find the picture. You know what it is. You'll know it when you see it. Maybe it's grandma sitting with the grandchild. Well, that's the picture, right? Maybe it's a group of people with their arms around each other. That's the picture. And then what I want you to do is, we're going to make them an 8x10, and we are going to throw it in, and we're going to surprise them. Because what we would do is, we would take every photo and go through every single photo with them, right? And so that they could see what was, the quality was, and how much better we were, and create a personalized experience. I had people breaking down in tears when they saw the 8x10, right? Now, here's the interesting part from a business perspective. The 8x10 cost me 34 cents. We would sell it for $7.99. $21.99 minus $7.99 is $14.99. Now I'm getting into the ballpark of where Woolco and the other big competitors were, right?
Yeah.
So that perceived upsell, the perceived value of that 8x10 was greater. Also, that you're actually looking at my photos and like thinking about me as a person, right? Which is really the point.
Taking the time, yeah.
Yeah. And the unintentional offshoot was our frame sales skyrocketed. Nice. Every time we did this for a 34-cent investment, a little bit of thought, they wanted to buy a frame. They would say, I really want to buy a frame to take this home in.
Yeah.
And then another sale would happen, because, we had it in our minds to create this loyalty, right, of a small business versus the big box. Like, if you're going to go there on price, go there on price. We're not stopping you, right?
Yeah.
So that's my anecdote about how we did that.
Awesome.
Almost 28 years ago or whatever.
Yeah,
surprise and delight, super important part.
Powerful.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here, and this is a good one here too. So two-way interaction with brands is important. Being human. Automation for common questions that don't require hand holding, that's good. But also, if you've got a live chat and you're a business owner and you've got an e-commerce store, I would suggest once a month, once every 2 weeks, get on that live chat yourself and talk to as many people as you can. Actually say, hey, I'm Dan. What can I do for you today? Is there anything I can help you with?
Yep.
And the interesting thing, one more anecdote, and I know I'm running on, but I got a lot of anecdotes about this kind of thing, was a few years back now, we were working with a ketogenic supplement company, and, expensive product, $199 USD for a 30-day supply. So not cheap. And we did a whole campaign for July 4th. And during that July 4th weekend, I spent about 8 or 9 hours total in the weekend on the live chat. And whenever somebody would come into the site, I would say, hey, I'm Dan. Yes, I'm a real human being and I'm here. I just wanted to ask you one quick question, if that'd be okay. Got a lot of positive responses. And invariably what ended up happening that I learned is that people were struggling with getting into ketosis because, so some of the anecdotes where I have type 2 diabetes, I lost my leg. I know ketogenic diet will help me. I can't stick perfectly to the diet. These became the bigger why issues. Like, why would you buy this? Well, it's on sale, so that's good, right? But this solves one of my problems. And every time I talk to somebody, we were getting multiple orders, and typically we wouldn't get multiple orders. We would get a monthly order, like they try it for a month. We were getting 2 and 3 month subscriptions because I was spending time sitting there in a live chat and just chatting with people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, when you're an online store like that, that's one of the major barriers that you have is like your actual interaction with your customers, because they're not walking into your store and you're not meeting them, right? So how do you connect with them on that personal level in a natural way? And that's an excellent way to do it. And it proves that, it not only got you orders, but it got you multiple items in the same order, which is fantastic, right? So
So yeah, I think that the lesson here and the takeaway is automate where it's useful, but don't over automate
Yeah.
the point to which you're inaccessible.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's an important
Absolutely.
takeaway there. Managing messaging data. Yeah. So the platforms, and I'll just touch on this. What we want to do as much as we possibly can as a business is put structure to unstructured things. Right. So if you say, yeah, well, we email our customers after they receive their order. Email is very unstructured. It doesn't let you very easily search and put stats against things and measure and do those things. So Bird Eye, Smile, Referral Candy, in particular, customer satisfactions like Ask Nicely, create systems and they create structure so you can measure, enhance, and improve all of your programs. Don't lean on those so heavily that you're not thinking about the why, like what's this supposed to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So just a kind of quick, point. And I apologize to all these guys, but we are at 5:02, and I do want to talk about a couple of very cool websites.
Yeah, these ones are really nice, especially with the chat features.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So stake.com. Now I know some people may be saying, oh, sports casino poker horse is bad. No. Sports casino poker horse has been around forever and it always will be.
Yep.
Unfortunately, because of US legislation, a lot of times the some offshore operators were operating at less than honest levels. That's unfortunate. But I think that legislation in the States is going to continue to roll out, especially pandemic. Government wants as much money as it can get.
Yep.
And this is going to be one way to do it. So looking at Stake, they're a fairly new player. Now, the interesting thing about these folks is that they were just named the official betting provider of the UFC. And Israel Adesanya is now their spokesperson officially.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Okay, so they're using relationships.
There he is. Yep.
Yep. Let's see. There's Israel. Okay. And he's been doing a lot of social for them and things like that. So the interesting thing about this, and this is one of the challenges with online. So when you go to a casino, if you've ever been to a casino, I can assure you these things are finely crafted machines with a lot of psychologists, behavioral psychologists on staffs to maximize the stimulation that you receive constantly. That's the goal, right? Yeah. So everywhere you look, you will see something with moving lights. Every way you turn. If you want to go to the bathroom, there's never a direct line, right? Now, how do you translate that online? It's always been a big challenge. Well, what stake.com has done, and this is one of the first providers I've ever seen that have done this, is they've created community with a live chat. And typically these providers have been very, very hesitant to do this, right? And the reason is, if you have somebody trolling or if you have an upset customer, they're going to go in there and then they're going to start screaming about it. And then, off you go. Well, it takes a pretty brave company to do this, but you know what it does? If you were to stay here and read, I can look at other people's profile. I can see, this is interesting. So this particular individual has wagered 78 Bitcoin so far and at a price of 51,000 US, so about 75,000 US. Who knows when they bought it, but you see the activity of other players. They have trophies and gamification. Yeah. Right? Giving away trophies. They have these little contests called races, right? All of this is encouraging, using very much, a lot of the techniques we're talking about is encouraging a stickiness. And this causes people to stick in the same way that Chef on Call's coin program and tier program is causing Chad to stick to that product.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fantastic little one. And we will wrap up with our friends at Chef on Call. Actually, I'll pull up their website here. Oops. Chef on call. I just had it open. I don't know where it went. There we go. Anything you want? I got a couple of points, Chad. The cool thing is they just did a merch drop. Love it. I love when a restaurant puts their merch front and center just as much.
They even got some tweets on there. Nice.
Yeah, they really sell their brand as much as.
Oh man, they're gonna make me want to buy that.
Some genius, some very, very clever, easy to put together.
And I mean, those are reviews, right? Those are reviews people leave, and I think it takes. Think of the person who left that review, right? Think about how much they'd either appreciate it, found it funny, or just relate to the brand again, right? I mean, it's huge.
Absolutely. The other thing is, I don't know that do you collect points by going online as well? Is it the same, or do you have to use the app?
I thought it was just the app, but I'm not sure offhand. I haven't actually used the website or even looked at it in probably like 2 years.
You would probably have to sign in, and it consolidates it underneath your account for sure.
I mean, at $11-12 a burger, this is the same as price point. It's around the Burger's Priest.
Oh, they look so good too.
Familiar with the Burger's Priest? Be a competitor, but yeah, there's a mobile app. It's got lots of features in there. I think we've talked a lot about Chef on Call, but I think that they've done a great job of putting their arms around building brand and building community using social and really appealing to a wide audience through very clever.
Absolutely,
very clever. Let me just do this. You can see from the app. So yeah, there's your chef coins. And then also some of the other tiers of gamification that they've got there. They're tiered ranks.
Trophies and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And your community involvement as well, which is always important. All right. I'm actually, I might place an order tonight.
Yeah, why not? It's Friday night.
Night. Yep. See how that goes. All right.
Their chicken burgers and chicken fingers are just fat. Well, even their burgers are great, but there's something about that batter. It's so good. Anyway, carry on.
All right, everyone. Well, that wraps us up for another edition of Live at the Hive Digital Marketing from the Trenches. Hope you took some stuff away from this. And if you know of somebody that may benefit from our 50-minute talk, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, do all the things, send carrier pigeons, but please share it with someone that may get some benefit out of this, because I think some of these strategies can really help businesses grow, especially restaurants during this hard time. Restaurants have had to do the most adapting of all.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Pippa's husband said, "You're making him hungry talking about all that chicken."
It's worth it.
Place an order, Pippa. There you go.
There we go. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same B channel.